Welcome to the first episode of A Brother with Questions. I'm your host, B. Period. Welcome to the platform wherever you enjoy your podcast. This particular one, like I said, is my first, so bear with me as we walk through this process together. We're going to just dive in a little bit today. I'm going to do some monologuing about a topic that's been real hot in the news right now. That is affirmative action. Of course, as we all know, Supreme Court had a case where they listened to the merits of affirmative action in higher education. In particular, they were looking at the University of North Carolina and Harvard. And so we all know what happened. Supreme Court said that based on the Constitution, to have affirmative action in higher ed education as a part of the admissions process was deemed incorrect, and they reversed that decision. So moving forward, affirmative action will not be considered when it comes to college admissions. And so over the last week, I've been asked my thoughts and opinion on it from some people around me. Basically, I've kind of just been watching and kind of studying what other people have been saying, basically. And here's my thoughts on it. My thought: why? Like, why am I supposed to care? That's honestly how I feel. Like, why do we even care that they are getting rid of affirmative action in higher ed, and especially at the what everybody's been talking about is the need for at these prestigious I can't even talk today prestigious schools like the Harvards and the Yales and UC Berkeley, right? All of these places where they say the elites of the elite go based on admission standards. And so my perspective on it is, again, why am I supposed to care? I don't care. If, in my opinion, if you qualify to go to these schools, and we're talking about minorities, if minorities qualify to go to these schools, you got the grades, right? You got your 4 point something GPA. You got your 1600 SAT score, your 35 ACT score. Apply. And chances are, you got a good chance of probably getting admitted because you'll be a part of that whole academic excellence that they're looking for. Now, on the other hand, if you got 3.8 and 1,300, that may not be the place for you. And quite frankly, I'm like, so what? There's a couple of opinions that I saw about this that I found like, okay, I can rock with that. A lot of opinions I found that I don't rock with at all. But the ones that I did, because again, I'm like, why should we care? I don't think we need affirmative action. Now, the elephant in the room about all of this is I understand they're worried about it now being taken away across the board. And so I get it. So they take it away from schools. What's next? They take it away out of contracts. They take it away from a whole host of things. And so, again, me personally, who cares? I look at this world like this. It's 2023, okay? Now, in 1960, when all of these policies began to sort of take form, right, there was a problem in the world. There was a problem in the world that truly deemed it impossible because there were true roadblocks in place for minorities at that time. And, we really talk about black people. That's the only people really, around here complaining. But that made it hard and necessitated these kinds of policies. But, hey, y'all, it's 2023. Name me 5 things. Name 10 things that you can't do now as a black person in order to achieve success in this country. The roadblocks that existed in 1960 don't exist anymore. We're facing a different crisis that has nothing to do with laws. So the idea that you gotta have that true. You truly gotta get a 4.5 and a 1,500 on the SAT to be able to qualify to get to some of these schools. So what? If you get it, you get it. I was doing the research. Most of the kids, most of the black kids that go to places like Harvard anyway, most of these kids coming from affluent families anyway. So these are families that don't care nothing about no affirmative action anyway, because they got the money just like the white people that got the money. So they ain't worried about no affirmative action to get their kids into school. They're making the same connections and calls that some of these white people are making. Same connections and calls, right? You know how you do. Your kid want to go to a place, you call on the biggest alumnus that you know that goes to that particular school, and then you make it happen. If you run it in them circles, the Ketanji Brown Jacksons of the world, you run it in them circles, you make them same calls. And maybe your kid gets in with his 3.9 and 1,400 on the SAT score. So what? You know, the opinion that I heard that I loved the most came from Dr. Carr out of Howard. He was talking on Roland Martin's platform. And he said, I don't really care because I think all of our kids should be going to HBCUs anyway. I'm with him. I'm with you on that, Dr. Carr. Why aren't we sending our best and brightest to HBCUs? Why aren't we celebrating when our kids get accepted to Howard like we celebrate because they got into Harvard? Like, it's okay. It's Harvard. I got it. I get it. You know, if you want to, you go to Harvard so you can make them big time connections in government and in policy and whatnot. I understand. You know, the biggest and the brightest, right? Every president has pretty much come from Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, right? So I get it. You want to get in those places so you can connect with those people. Good. You want to do that? Make your 1,500, make your 1,600 on the SAT, get your 4.5 GPA in high school, get your 35 SAT, and go hobnob. But come on, do you need Harvard to be successful in this world? You do not. You don't need Harvard to be successful in this world. You don't need Princeton to be successful in this world. You don't need UC Berkeley to be successful in the world. Sure, there's some doors that will open. That's true, but you don't need it. It's not a requirement. It's not holding you back because you didn't go to that particular school, right? The thing that we, black people, need to be concerned about is the fact that 84% of the kids, on average, 84% of our kids are illiterate at math and reading. There's a problem. You want more kids to go to Harvard? Improve our math and reading scores across this country. Do you hear me? 84% of black students across this country on average are not where they need to be in math and reading by the time they go to high school. That's the problem, people. Harvard? Pfft, who cares? With 84% of them not being functional in math and reading, we don't need to worry about Harvard. Shoot, we don't need to worry about them going to HBCUs for that matter. What we're going to be worried about is them just graduating from high school and getting a job at McDonald's because that's all you're going to be able to get. And they trying to take that away. So we worried about the wrong things. I don't care about no affirmative action. Affirmative action ain't going to make you read better. Affirmative action ain't going to make you do math better. None of those things are going to solve the real problems. Because here's the thing. Your success is not determined on your school. Your success is determined on your occupation. What you do after you get out of high school. You know, we got a bigger problem in this country where in 2023, we still got people celebrating the fact that you graduated high school. Like, high school? Like, I'm supposed to be impressed because you got out of high school with a 2.0? Man, that's the least you can do. In the world that we living in now, that high school diploma ain't going to get you nothing. It barely going to get you a McDonald's job. It might get you a job at Walmart making $15, $16, $17 an hour. But if you're trying to move up in this world, if you're trying to get out of your middle-class life to the next level, if you're trying to get out of your quote-unquote poverty life to the next level, you're going to need way more than that high school diploma. And if you're not functioning in reading and you're not functioning in math, you ain't going to be able to do any of those things. So affirmative action ain't our problem. The kids who deserve to go to Harvard, who deserve to go to Yale, who deserve to go to Princeton, who deserve to go to Cornell, who deserve to go to UC Berkeley, those kids who make those grades are not going to be denied. They are not our problem. Those kids are going to be fine. We need to be worried about these 84% of the kids who are not functional at reading and math. Because we can see where this world is going. All you need to do to be successful is get into a STEM program and do a job that's connected to STEM, because that's where the world is going. But guess what you're not going to qualify for if you don't know how to read and if you don't know how to do math effectively by the time you reach high school? You're not going to a STEM program. There's your problem. We're not getting into the jobs where the money is. And it's not because we can't get there, because we can get there going to our own HBCUs. We got FAMU graduating PharmD students. On average, those kids are making 80, 90 grand minimum. Some of them are making 120 minimum the moment they graduate high school. But you got to know how to read. You got to know how to do some math in order to graduate from that PharmD program. Engineering. The opportunities are there across the board in engineering. You can do that at every HBCU has got an engineering program. But you got to know how to read. You got to know how to do math to get in these programs. There's our problem. You know, the kids who can qualify and do well enough to get to the Harvard, they're going to make it. They're going to be fine. Even if they didn't get accepted to Harvard. If they got a 1,500, they got a 4.5 GPA, there's another 15 schools that don't clearly give them everything they see, everything they want. Whether it's at an HBCU or whether it's at a PWI. I ain't worried about affirmative action. Affirmative action ain't going to bring 84% of our kids up to doing the math and the reading at the level that they need to be. Okay? Now, as I was thinking about this, I say, so how do we get to that problem? How do we get to the problem of 84% of the kids not being effective at math and reading? Because, again, to me, that's what we should be concerned about. But how does that problem come? It goes back to the community, man. Again, why are we still celebrating high school diplomas? Anybody that knows anything about 2023 knows a high school diploma is barely going to get you to where you need to be. I know everybody ain't going to college. And quite frankly, I'm not a proponent of everybody going to college. Somebody need to be an electrician. Somebody need to be a plumber. Somebody need to start be an AC tech, right? Somebody needs to be a welder. Because these jobs ain't going nowhere. You know, I live in Florida. In Florida, every summer, there's going to be 1 million ACs that break down. Somebody got to fix them ACs. And trust me, they're going to pay. Because in Florida, when they get 95 degrees, the last thing I need is my AC to be broke. So I'm going to fix that AC. We building houses. We building commercial buildings like crazy. Especially, I know in Florida, I know they're doing it across the state. We always going to need that electrician. If you're building a commercial building, you're building a house, you're always going to need somebody to lay these pipes. So when these toilets flush, so when these sinks come on, that water knows where to go. These are jobs that we need too. So we should be talking about trade schools. Because here's the thing, enough of our kids ain't going into trade schools either. So we ain't going into trade schools. They're not reading and doing math at the levels that they need to. And schools, we got plenty of HBCUs around here. And some of us don't even need to go to the HBCU first. Some of us need to do community colleges first. And then work our way up to the HBCU. But the opportunities are there. The fact that we're sitting around here crying about affirmative action going away. What? It's 2023. Man, anything you want to do, it's simply simply determination on your part. So if you're not accomplishing anything, affirmative action ain't your problem. Because there's always a door. I know plenty of people who gotten doors, not even from black people, who white people are calling them. Hey, I got this opportunity. You want to take it? So affirmative action ain't our problem. The fact that we've been crying about 2 weeks about it is going away. I'm trying to understand what we doing. Who are we? Who are we? Crying about something that ain't even needed in today's society? Okay, I get it. I understand. We ain't where we want to be as a people. I got it. There's still opportunities that some of us are trying to get that we can't get to yet. I understand that. I got that too. But you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying? I come from a line of people who and I know everybody don't rock with me here, but I truly feel like this. You know, and maybe you should, and maybe your destination, and maybe your mindset might be a little bit different. But I come from a line of people who are religious, who believe God. Like I believe God. And I don't know about you, but I serve a God that can get me anywhere I want to be. So when you're telling me the opportunities ain't there for me, I'm looking at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because I serve a God that can open doors where there are no doors. That can open windows where there are no windows. So I don't need a program to get me where I need to be because he got me no matter what I'm going through. So again, I don't understand what we tripping on right now. This is 2023. At some point, we gotta understand that number one, we live in a place where everybody in the world is trying to get to. Everybody in the world is trying to get to. We getting millions and millions of people. Some people going, almost losing their life to get into an opportunity to get into this country. So when you say the opportunities ain't there, I'm trying to figure out what you looking for. It sounds to me, affirmative action ain't your problem. It sounds to me that you too picky. It sounds to me that you need to adjust your life plan. Because the opportunities are here. But you got to go chase them. Ain't nobody giving them to you. I don't care if you black. I don't care if you white. I don't care if you Mexican. I don't care if you Chinese. If you want them opportunities, you're going to get them. You know, the thing I love when you talk about immigrants in this country, the thing I love about immigrants is they seem to come from a stronger sense of family than some of us that have grown up here do. They understand that to get out of the position that you're in, you need to chase something greater than where you are. And that's, to me, the problem in the black community is we're not chasing the things that's going to get us to the place that we need to be. I love the fact that when you talk to immigrant families, they talk about the fact that my mama said I was going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. They don't understand necessarily all the time, some of them, what it takes to be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. But you know what they do understand? They understand that that's what you need to be if you're going to get out of this place where we are. And that's what I love. Because those are the same conversations that we need to have. We need to be creating standards in our family where college is the minimum. Where I don't know what you're going to do, but I know you're going to college. And when you get there, you're going to be this, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Because here's the thing. We already know these positions right there, on average, $90,000 or more a year. Imagine if we got millions of kids graduating college, making 90 or more a year. Y'all talking about changing the generation. Y'all talking about changing the trajectory of black people in this country. Come on now. That's what we need to be talking about. Harvard? Psh. You don't need Harvard to be an engineer. You need Harvard to get a good engineering job. That's not a requirement. You only need Harvard to walk in the door when you go to Washington, D.C. and make that phone call to the alumnus and say, hey, I want to be a clerk on the Supreme Court. That's what you need Harvard for. You know what I mean? And that's cool. If that's what you want, I say chase it. But understand what you got to do to get there. And don't worry about the fact that now when you get there, you got to have requirements. And that's, to me, that's the best thing ever. Because first of all, I don't even know anybody who like to say they benefited from affirmative action. Now, I know some older folks, right? Some people who are 60 and older that will gladly tell you that affirmative action got them into some of the doors that they got to. But when you talk to 30-year-olds, when you talk to 40-year-olds, when you talk to 20-year-olds, you know what they're going to tell you? Man, I ain't get here because of affirmative action. I deserve this. So The generation now is like, they don't even want to claim it. Even when they benefit from it, they don't even want to claim it. So, good. Take it away. Now when I walk into Harvard as a freshman, guess what you ain't going to tell me? Oh, you got here because of affirmative action. No, I didn't. It ain't in part of the process no more. So, what? Then when you get there, if you make it, do your thing. Get your 4.0. Get your 3.8 at Harvard. Graduate honors at Harvard. Go on to Harvard Law School as well. Do your thing, but deserve it. Make the grades like everybody else. Now, I thought about this thing and I said, okay, so if that's the goal, right? So graduating from Howard ain't good enough. Going to Howard Law School, you want to be a little bit more prestigious than that. Or you think there should be more minority black kids that are getting these opportunities to go to Harvard? Great. Start the infrastructure. See, that's the thing we don't talk about, man. There's so many of us. There's more of us today, I think, that are doing better than, let's say, 1960 in terms of finances. I think family-wise, we suck today. I think in the 1960s, we understood family so much better than we do in 2023. But we'll put that to the side. That's another conversation. Let's just focus on this affirmative action process and getting into the Harvards and the Princetons and the Cornells so that you can walk into Washington, D.C. and call that alumnus, if you will. So how do we do that? How do we change the trajectory? We create the infrastructure. We understand what it takes for a kid who goes through high school to be able to get to Harvard, right? We can see it. It's on paper. So if we want more kids to do that, why don't we create the infrastructure? Where are the schools across the country dedicated to pushing black kids to a higher level? Pushing black kids so that when they graduate high school, they can make a 1,600 on the SAT. Pushing kids so that they're in a part of an intense curriculum that is pushing them to be able to achieve those scores. Where you're putting them in tutoring programs every summer so that they understand the strategies to be successful on the SAT and the ACT. Where are those schools? Where are those schools funded by the same black people that say we deserve to be there? Because let's be honest, what are other people doing? The families that can afford it, that's what they're doing. They're sending their kids to the private schools that push those kinds of curriculums. They're making sure their kids go to tutoring every summer in order to do that. Now, I get it. Little Johnny that lives in the pork and bean projects, right? His mama can't afford that. That's cool. I understand that. I know his mama can't afford that. But if you think little Johnny needs the opportunity, why haven't you created a school for little Johnny? Where are the schools for little Johnny created by black people so that he can get there? There's a bunch of states out here with all kind of charter school programs. Where are the black schools that started a charter school that focuses on that aspect? Why don't they exist? We got a bunch of them. I know a bunch of charter schools right here in Florida. And I know a lot of them that are graduating kids, but they ain't graduating them to make sure they go to Harvard. They graduating to be like, shit, you graduated, buddy. You graduated high school. What happens next? Good luck. What if we want to see more kids achieve that level, then let's put the infrastructure in place. Again, there are enough educated black folk. There are enough people with finances that if we create some partnerships, we should be able to create these schools across the country. It don't have to be 100 of them. It could be 20. But then create 20 focused schools that produce 50, 60 kids a year. That'll change the next generation. The solutions ain't hard, as far as I'm concerned. If this is our goal, we're supposed to be at Harvard. We're supposed to be at Princeton, right? Because going to Howard ain't good enough. Going to Morehouse ain't good enough. Going to FAMU ain't good enough. Going to Alabama A&M ain't good enough, right? They ain't good enough to get us to the high school, to the levels that we want to be. Fine. Why don't we create the systems so that we can send hundreds of kids into the Ivy League system, where we can send thousands of kids into the Ivy League systems every year that actually have the SATs, the ACTs, and the GPAs to qualify to get there. If that's what we want, if that's what we think is needed, why don't we have the infrastructure? And to me, that's the biggest problem that we have. We do a whole lot of talking about what isn't, what ain't, what they won't do. But where is what we doing? Where are our schools that are pushing kids to be at Harvard consistently, that have the real programs in place, the tutoring programs, the teachers that understand the level that you need to be at to get there? Why don't we have those schools? I don't understand. If that's important to us. I mean, we know the government ain't going to do it. Quite frankly, I don't think they should. Personally. We have a school system in place. It's about all they're going to be able to do. Truth is, they need workers. They don't need thinkers. Because workers keep the system going. So that's what the school system's for. Done. If you want more, then you got to pay for it. Right? Or you got to fund it for the kids who can't pay for it, so that they can get to those levels that you want them to reach. That's the solution, man. And I hate this idea that we don't have the money, because we do. When you think about, look at our celebrities today. Rick Ross. He just did a whole thing about how he bought a $20 million watch. A $20 million watch. Now, I ain't mad at him. Cool. You buy a $20 million watch. Cool. Not mad at you at all, bruh. Do your thing. That's your money. You work for it. I get it. But here's my thing. If you can buy a $20 million watch, you telling me there's not a school you can fund at $1 million a year? It's what? What school? $1 million a year. Clearly, you got a lot of money to spend on other things. Just for the habit. Because, I mean, let's be honest. You buy a $20 million watch. Is that an everyday watch? Do you wear that watch every day? Or do you wear that watch at concerts? So you can write it off as a business expense. I'm just saying. So if you can do that, $1 million a year? Support a school? Just saying. And maybe it ain't $1 million. Maybe it's $500,000. Maybe it's $250,000. Maybe you put $250,000. Call up 3 other brothers and they put $250,000 in y'all, and now you're doing $1 million a year. I'm just saying, if we care about moving black people forward, we already know the government ain't gonna do it. So I don't know why we keep crying every time the government takes something away, quote unquote. That's what y'all say. They took affirmative action away from us. You know, I can go on a whole nother rant to me, about how, at the end of the day, we already know. I mean, we've seen the articles, right? Affirmative action is, white women are the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action anyway. Now, I'm sure they were talking about when it comes to contracts and things of that nature, but if white women are the biggest beneficiaries of it, what we crying about? We still ain't winning. But I'm talking about the solutions. We have it. We're spending $1 trillion on stuff every year. You telling me we can't? There's no way to put $20 million together to fund some schools, $30 million together, $40 million together, $50 million, $100 million to fund some schools. Again, you ain't got to start 1,000. You can do 10, but have them focused. You can put all that stuff in that you say the government don't want us to learn. You can throw all the black history in there that you want because you own the school. More importantly, you can educate those kids and provide the resources needed so they can go to Harvard, they can go to Princeton, they can go to Yale, and then they can walk into those rooms in Washington, D.C. and be in shot callers, if you will. But affirmative action ain't our problem because we can solve all these problems. Money ain't the problem because it's out there. We got to change our thought process. We got to get together and stop talking about stuff. The people who have the money need to put that money up. You know, all these, most of these people crying got some kind of money. I'm just saying, what are we doing? It's 2023. We're not begging for stuff no more. We got every opportunity that we work for, we get it. You look at a person like a Tyler Perry. I know he's an enigma, an anomaly, sorry. But I recognize that. But the point that I'm making in his anomaly is, where did he begin? He began like all the kids that we talk about. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, in his story, he was homeless at one point and still traveling the country doing plays. Now he got more money than every successful black actor in Hollywood. Do you hear that? He got more money than every successful black actor in Hollywood. We celebrating Will Smith and Denzel. Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. This man got more than all of them put together. He was doing plays across the country in a wig and a dress. Affirmative action? That ain't our problem. We need to change how we do resources in the community. We need to focus on, stop talking about what the community's problems are and start solving the community's problems. We say there ain't jobs in the hood. Well, every city in America, every major city in America has an NBA team that has a payroll of approximately $150 million or more. Hood. With a bunch of black kids, black boys on it, that claim they care about the hood. Just saying. We got the money for the solutions. We got to adjust our problem. We got to adjust our focus. If we want to create better communities, we got to go create better communities. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's a Republican. We already know neither one of these people are going to be coming back to the community to build better communities. And quite frankly, they ain't supposed to. That ain't their job. Their job is to provide funding, which you can go access through grants and other programs. And that's there. But then you take the little bit they're going to give you, because it ain't going to be much. It ain't going to be enough, typically. And you got to put some on it. We have all the solutions right here. We got the solutions for a more successful black America. We need to stop worrying about what programs exist and start focusing on making sure kids have what they need. 84% of these kids are not where they need to be in math and reading. That's the problem. It ain't affirmative action. It ain't that they didn't get into Harvard. Harvard, they don't even qualify to go to a HBCU if they can't do math and reading effectively, let alone Harvard. And for the 16% of the kids who are where they need to be, the probably the 1% to 2% of those kids who actually qualify, they'll get in. What we gonna do about the 84%? Because them kids gonna grow up and be adults one day. Them kids need a job that's gonna be able to sustain them one day. What we gonna do about them? To me, there's the problem. Those are the kids that we need to be talking about. Them other kids, there's an easy solution for them kids. Easy. We want them to have better schools, fund them. In every state where there's a charter school, every state where the state pays money to charter schools in order to have kids go there, there should be a high-performing school dedicated to black kids in each one of those states, so that they'll have everything they need to do to qualify to go to those Ivy League schools. We can solve these problems. And affirmative action ain't the solution. I'm done. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm your guy, B. Period. We'll be back with another episode. I'm out, man.